The Sound of Music is not the easiest of movies to review without offending those who have so loved it, but I will try to give it the best balanced view I can. The Sound of Music was produced to entertain audiences and allow them to escape from reality for 2 hours. The vast majority of Broadway musicals produced in the middle of the 20th century were primarily leisure distractions. Only a handful of these offerings center around thought-provoking material, such as Porgy and Bess, South Pacific, West Side Story, The Man of La Mancha, even My Fair Lady. But The Sound of Music was not designed to force radical contemplation of social issues. It was designed to make people feel happy about music, although depending solely upon the music in The Sound of Music to excite me about music would not really work. The release of The Sound of Music was the beginning of the end of Hollywood's love affair with the so-called Broadway musical that. From circa 1930 to 1965, the movie musical was a mainstream genre and represented a huge amount of the output of Hollywood. But after The Sound of Music in 1964, the movie musical began to disappear and films would go in varied directions which were not conducive to the musical, such as politics, dysfunctional relationships, suicide, and emerging countercultures. New genres entered the mainstream, such as science fiction and the action thriller. Fewer and fewer movie musicals would be produced, although the genre wouldn't disappear altogether, and none that I can think of would have the unparalleled success of The Sound of Music. It would be debated ad infinitum whether offerings from the 1970s like American Graffiti and Saturday Night Fever were musicals in which songs were part of the soundtrack but none of the characters actually sung. A few musicals written by Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice, and Stephen Sondheim would see cinematic treatment in the 21st century, such as Evita and The Phantom of the Opera. Most young people today are unaware that two of the biggest names in entertainment for about a third of a century were Rodgers and Hammerstein, who dominated musical theater in New York, thereby influencing much of the output of Hollywood films shot in studios 3,000 miles away from Broadway. Most if not all of the duo's musicals were green-lighted as movies. Their musicals were really fantasies with songs, light-hearted escapist fare designed to entertain, with little thought-provoking ideas or complex thematic writing. If you're looking for good old-fashioned entertainment, you need almost look no further. But if you want something that challenges your perspective, Rodgers and Hammerstein have little to offer. The Sound of Music was beloved by all who saw it when it was first released in 1965. It seemed the one movie everyone could agree they at least liked, if not loved. And its reputation as everyone's favorite musical film still persists, more or less, even today. But is it really as wonderful as everyone would have you believe? Is it worth some critical analysis? For today's younger audiences, The Sound of Music probably comes off rather dated. It is really a fantasy portending something deeper but doesn't quite get there, except for possibly a moment toward the end of the film. The story is an idealization of the history of the Von Trapp family singers and how their adopted mother, Maria, played with pleasurable innocence by the incomparable Julie Andrews, first met the children and their father. Andrews' singing voice is without question from the heavens and, along with her acting, holds the entire film together. Andrews' character, Maria, is at the beginning an Austrian nun in love with music and not so enamored with being in a convent. She keeps singing in the prayer halls. Click link in description for more reviews.